Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the FPL Affairs podcast, the podcast that strips back and lays bare our season-long love affair with FPL. In our latest transfers video, we get out the Hippo's crystal balls to predict who will well and truly score this game week. Will anyone playing get a 5 stars? We also share our possible transfers in and out. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for all of our content, and ring the bell for notifications when we release new content. Anyway, enough of my small talk. Let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He's scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Kayo Saka. That is a diamond of a goal.
Okay, greetings everybody to the team selection video from the FPL Affairs with me, Matt, aka the FPL Affairs Magpie, and accompanying me, Mr. FPL Affairs Weasel. How are you, Paul?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Well, it will probably appear different this video since those of you watching, that we've had technical issues and it's taken us ages to try and resolve us or technophobe people. So I think we best get cracking.
Yep, let's get going ahead.
Team selection video. Right. Looking first at our game week 2 fixtures. So our Friday evening kickoff, as it's a Friday deadline again, 6:30. 8 o'clock kickoff, West Ham at home to Chelsea. The early kickoff on Saturday, Manchester City at home to Tottenham. Our 3 o'clock kickoffs, Bournemouth Wolves, Brentford Aston Villa, and Burnley Sunderland. And the late kickoff on Saturday is Arsenal Leeds at 5:30. Sunday, our 2 o'clock kickoffs, Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, Everton against Brighton, Fulham and Manchester United at 4:30, and then the Monday evening game is Newcastle Liverpool. What are your thoughts on those fixtures, Paul?
I personally don't like these long weekends. It's 4 days of waiting for the last fixture, but there's some good, tasty fixtures coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I was like looking at the dates and the times, and with the broadcasting rights from Sky having significantly more matches they can show this season, I'm wondering if this season we're going to see more Friday deadlines, because there'll be a Friday night match, an early match on the Saturday, a few 3 o'clocks, a late one on a Saturday, then 2 earlies on a Sunday, which are both shown, the later one on a Sunday, which is shown on a Monday. I'm suspecting that may be a fixture schedule pattern that will be on a weekly basis, unless it's a midweek game week.
I think it's going to be the norm now. There's international breaks, so they're finished Sunday, like normal.
Yeah. So we've got on the right-hand side our league codes, classic league code 12RRCG, all lowercase, and our challenge league code lowercase I 6NQNB, all lowercase. Unfortunately, I've had to remove the head-to-head one because now the season started, that's automatically blocked. No one else can enter that, I'm afraid. So what we're going to cover in this video, some transfer plans that we've got. Any suggestion ones that we have will include Mr. Crystal Balls, the FPL Affairs Hippo, his 5-star challenge. And if you missed the FPL Affairs Swan's differential video, which was released on Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, we'll briefly look at those as well. Did you have any differentials in your team last week?
Obviously, Potts, but he was on my bench and he didn't even play. That's the biggest one that I had.
We'll have a look, because Barry selected one from each club. So, yeah, can you see those on your screen?
Uh, so I had none of his differentials actually.
None of his. I
Did you?
had. I had a few of them at different points of preseason, but the only one that actually made my final draft, thankfully, was Reinders at Man City.
Yeah, same here. Obviously, everyone was looking at the 5.5 million midfielders, and in the end, I somehow ended up with a 4.5 million midfielder who doesn't play.
Mm,
But it's a crazy game.
yeah. So this week, Barry's differentials, and this did raise an eyebrow for me. And I'm sorry that image for this is a bit blurry, but I had to do a screenshot of the video. Um, but anyway, hopefully everyone can still view the names and ownerships. But anyway, I'm waffling. He's got down a triple Sunderland for this, which I know they're playing Burnley and Sunderland won 3-0, but I think that did, looking at some of the data, it did flatter Sunderland a little bit. I think it was just they were a bit clinical with their finishing rather than having significant amount of chances.
Yeah, their expected
Um,
goals was 0.75, wasn't it, or something like that?
yeah, yeah, really low. But Barry put down Mayenda, Diarra, and Adingra. So Mayenda's the forward who did well in the championship for them and scored last week. Diarra centre midfielder and Adingra from that they signed from Brighton that should be on a bit more of the creative side. So that was the Sunderland. Any thoughts on those Sunderland aspects?
Yeah, I was looking at Melinda during pre-season. So he got 10 goals and 5 assists in the championship. I don't know much about Diarra. Obviously, Alingros did well at Brighton, and obviously there's another 5.5 midfielder I had my eye on, but ultimately I didn't go for. But yeah, obviously it's their easiest game of the season against Burnley. They did brilliantly game week one and totally surprised everyone. So yeah, they could be a great differential in those three.
Mm, I'd
And I heard
I'd
that
say
Diarra
out
plays
of
well.
for those that may be listening, it's after those Sunderland three. I'll read out the remaining six before we briefly discuss them. Um, our differential king, FPL Affairs Swan, went with Odegaard of Arsenal, who's currently 3.7% ownership. From Bournemouth to Vernier at 0.5, and Brooks, who's zero point 0.2. And then he's gone triple Chelsea with Gittins, Neto, and Enzo. Opinions on those six? Any float your boat? Any appeal?
Obviously, Odegaard's the standout and playing Leeds. And that I was originally going to have him in my team, but then obviously with Arsenal's tough fixtures, I've decided to stay clear of him till week 7. Bournemouth, I didn't really look at after their team's been ripped apart this year. And Chelsea, there's too much of a rotation risk with Gittins and Neto. And Enzo was also on my radar as well.
Mm,
At 6.5, I think it was just a bit too pricey to get into
yeah,
my team as a
yeah.
eighth mid player.
For me, I liked Odegaard for the selection. I think he did well for DEFCON defensive contributions against Manchester United and set plays box to box. So he's got access to points across the board, a bit like Bruno Fernandes, but not
Uh-huh.
to the degree of Bruno. Hence the difference in ownership. But it's potential there again because you said he's at home to Leeds, but again, like you said, the fixtures for Arsenal coming up aren't great. Neto was brilliant in the Club World Cup, but again, as you said, it's minutes and Enzo, although I think he's quite a nailed starter, he's also quite nailed for being substituted before the end of the game. And I think at 6.5, there are better options at 6.5 that are getting close to 90 every week.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, those were the nine identified differential kings for this week. If you want to see Barry's justification for his choices, then look in our videos list. It should be relatively near the top, if not at the top after this one. And it's about 10 minutes long, roughly, from start to finish. Okay, moving on to the FPL Affairs Hippos Crystal Balls. Can you beat Hippo's crystal balls? Are your prediction skills better than his? I'll be honest, he did not do that great last week. He put a lot of faith in West Ham with his five predictions. Three of them he went for Bowen, who flopped. So out of the 5 stars, Hippo embarrassingly got 0. And he had his head-to-head with Bossman, the FPL Affairs Lion, who wasn't lying around to make his decisions, but he also got 0. So the discussion really, and you can put this in the comments below, is how you feel the scoring should go. Do you just leave it as a draw, or do you emphasize someone has to win, so you total up the points that the players they nominated earned? Because if you did, then Lewis won quite comfortably because he he put a good vote in for Haaland. Anyway, the predictions by Hippo this week is that he feels the game week's best overall player this week will be Ollie Watkins because he loves scoring goals against Brentford. Did you Paul see the statistic for Watkins and his record against Brentford, his former club?
Yeah, I think he's got 6 goals and 1 or 2 assists, hasn't he, in 8 games?
I think the might be that. I think the one I saw was 5 goals and 1 assist in his last 5.
Uh,
Um, but then what you said with 8, that might be his whole record against them.
uh,
Um, Hippo's prediction for best differential under 5% top performer. He's gone with Bournemouth Evan Nilsson because he thinks he'll get some sort of return against Wolves. Most saves. I think this will be quite a popular prediction. Leeds United's Perry, simply as he's playing away to Arsenal, and he's against a very attacking Arsenal side. Although I dispute that slightly from how they performed against Manchester United. What do you think?
well, who will get the most saves this week?
Yeah, well, against Kieran's reasoning behind a very attacking Arsenal side.
Yeah, they weren't that very attacking, but
So,
historically they are.
mm,
So if they get back into their rhythm again, he could be correct.
mm. Prediction 4, the game week's highest scoring defender. Kieran's gone for Gabriel, and against Leeds, he's got a good chance for a clean sheet, and he could always get a goal like he's known for from set pieces. And his final prediction, double-digit midfielder or forward. There's a typo on here. He's put Bowen again. And I'm saying that it is a typo because he sent them to me separately. His prediction was Watkins or Gyökeres, and we were having a bit of a debate as to whether he's allowed to put 2 names down or one. He was arguing he should be allowed to put down 2. So we'll provisionally do that. He hadn't given an exact one. Do you think that's a bit of a cop out of choosing?
Yeah, definitely. You need to pick one, Kieran.
Who would you go for out of if you look at these 5? Either, well, firstly, commenting on Kieran's predictions.
Yeah, Watkins is a good shout. Nah, obviously didn't have any sniffing on game week 1, so hopefully he'll be hungry. I've got him in my team, so I'm hoping he'll get at least 2 goals this week.
Mm,
Um, even Nelson's always, I think, underperformed. No, I've never gone near him in FPL, but they looked some good attacking Bournemouth, and
mm,
Wolves obviously let him 4 goals against Man City. So this is another good shout by Kieran. I think Brentford will probably have the most saves this week against Villa. Well, they're saying that Villa weren't that great against you guys on Saturday, were they?
But
They had
then you
serious
take,
shots and goal in the first half, didn't they?
but then we defended really well in the first half, and the second half they started putting on some pressure the first 15 minutes, and then Conte got sent off, and after that we were dictating play after that, so they were on the back foot. So really, I
Uh,
think anyone that either considers or is considering selling Watkins, don't based on base your decision on what his history is in the Premier League, not what happened in game week 1, because
yeah, definitely.
there were a lot of variables that impacted his performance in that. Um, so your prediction would be most saves as the Brentford keeper, do you think, rather than Perry?
Yeah, Leeds look good, I thought, on Monday. And I think they might surprise us like Sunderland this year.
Game week's highest scoring defender. I think that's quite a safe and logical shout.
Yeah, he scores a few goals and they've probably got the best chance of a clean sheet this week.
Mm,
But personally, I'm hoping Porro will be.
mm. Double digit midfielder or forward. So ignoring that it says Bowen on screen because it hasn't been changed due to. So apologies for that technical typo problem. Gyökeres or Watkins for you, or someone else?
Um, yeah, obviously, I think Watkins, Saka's probably the standout option for the week. Hopefully, Palmer get his form back that he's shown in the Club World Cup.
Mm.
He's
I
got
think
to
the
end this
big
run soon in the Premier
yeah.
League.
We'll come on to Palmer when we look at the transfer options, but yeah. Let's see who the FPL Affairs Hippo has challenged this week. So his admin challenge is, oh, me. I'm going to have to proper think carefully now with those predictions. I'm determined to beat him. I have to get at least 1 star.
Hmm.
After both Hippo and Lion getting 0 stars last week, I'm determined to at least start off with a solid 1.
It's not hard. His balls are broken at the moment.
And his crystal balls are broken,
Uh-huh.
shattered, absolutely shattered.
And
Maybe they're just
you'll
tired.
never hear the end of it if he beats you.
Mm, yeah, but then maybe I'll just wave a magic wand and curse him again, like last season, possibly. So
Go for
right,
it.
I need to decide, make my decisions before tomorrow. Okay, moving on to potential transfers. I've got general ones about players you may be considering selling, um, transferring out. Any goalkeepers do you think that need to be considered getting rid of after only 1 week?
No, they're the least scoring player in the whole team. And that's your least priority for transfers.
Yeah, you don't want to be using a goalkeeper transfer on week 1. What about if you
I'm
were
happy with
either
mine.
start? What if you were starting in game week 2 rather than game week 1, or if you're one of those handful of people who are wild carding in game week 2, which I think is bonkers. Would you bring in anyone different to who you've got in goal?
Obviously, sales, maybe. Raya surprised me. No, they didn't make hardly any saves last season, and then he's kind of got save points in the first game of the season this year.
Well, that was the interesting thing. Briefly going back to the 5 star challenge, Kieran voted for Petrovic as making the most saves, which I went with as well. I thought that's got to be a banker. Bournemouth goalkeeper away to Liverpool, and he got 6 saves,
Huh.
and he was second highest. Raya got 7.
Wow.
Raya got 7 saves. Petrovic 6. Lewis went for Henderson of Crystal Palace. But anyway, that's the goalkeepers. Any defenders? Well, I know one defender for sure that you are going to say to set to get rid of based on your posts in the group. So defenders to get rid of, share your thoughts.
Yeah, who's that?
Liverpool, right back.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, Frimpong's obviously got injured and is going to be out to the middle of September. So
I think it's
obviously,
possible. Who would you go? Well, that'll be in the next slide as to incoming. So you can, if you've got if you had Frimpong, would you sell him this week?
yeah, definitely because his price will go down, as we've seen with Gardefol earlier on in the week.
Yeah, Vardy's dropped from 6 to 5.9, hasn't he?
Uh-huh.
Any other defenders in particular that you'd look at selling already, or only him?
I think only him. They all did pretty well this week, last week, the
Well,
defenders, and I think they're going to be good scorers this year.
if you had Konza, would you sell him after his red
No, because
card
it's
last
only
week?
out for 1 week.
Yeah, I think as it wasn't down to violent conduct, it's only a 1 week suspension. So save the transfers, just bench him, is what I would
And they
say.
got great fixtures as well coming up.
Yeah, they have. I think now the Newcastle fixtures out of the way, I think they're top of the fixture ticker, Aston Villa.
And most people
Um,
have got a Burnley defender or Sunderland defender who could come in this week and play easily instead of Konsa.
yeah, yeah. Since did you see the video with Estev? Estev was the Burnley 4 million defender that loads of people have got due to DEFCON. He was interviewed and he was asked about FPL and he hadn't really heard of it, the game, or played, but he just commented and asked a question about it and said he'd try his hardest um with the points. It'd be something to look out for. FBL Harry shared it in his, I think, transfers video.
Yeah, I missed that.
Anyway, as I'm getting sidetracked and I keep saying anyway and it does my head in and I keep noticing it whenever I'm doing the editing after the videos. So I'm going to try not to say that. Moving on. Maybe that'll be better. Go into a vocabulary thesaurus, different words for anyway. Midfielders, any you would sell or consider selling.
Words to consider.
Verts you'd consider, you'd monitor on what's your reasoning?
For his price tag, he just hasn't justified it in the Charity Shield in the first game of the season.
He got an
I've seen
assist in
a
the
bit of
Charity
great.
Shield, didn't he? Community Shield.
I can't remember to be honest. But yeah, I think they're obviously a good player in your team this week. I can just see him blanking again.
I think
Uh,
what I've heard grumblings of and rumors out of watching various videos and speaking to various people is if Verts is going to be one of those people that, from your team's perspective, is very influential in what the team does, but that doesn't necessarily equate to FPL points. So, like for Chelsea, Caicedo is crucial to a lot of what they do. Thankfully, this season he's the DEFCON's recognised, so he should benefit from that. Like,
yeah,
and for Newcastle, Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton, arguably like one of the best three-man midfielders in the league. But none of them, none of those three are sensational for goal involvements. And Bruno, to be fair, was better last year because when Tonali was moved to the six, Tonali was getting more involvement as an eight. Not Tonali, Guimaraes was getting more involvement as an eight. So he was being involved in more goals. But yeah, there are some where there's individuals that are so crucial to the way the team plays. Is Verts going to be one of those? And that's why I didn't get him in my final draft.
uh, yeah.
You
Without going for Salah, I had to get some Liverpool midfielder coverage. I wish I'd gone for Gakpo.
I think lots of people are either, I think if they, and he'll be one to come up with the next slide for incomings. Any forwards you would get rid of?
Um, Pedro, obviously, is a minute's risk. I haven't got him personally. Bowen is on my watch list at the moment to go.
I think
That's great.
the good thing about Bowen though is that as he's 8 million, um, you can anyone that hasn't kept any money in the bank, you can easily to drop down to any of the 7.5 strikers that hit it off. So Chris Wood's gone up to 7.6, I think, already. But if you've got Bowen, you can drop straight down to Chris Wood, not a problem. Um, which is at
It's one
least
of the reasons
one.
why I got Bowen.
Mm, yeah, that
Obviously,
was
he had
one
a
of the.
brilliant first fixture. But yeah, it's an easy 0.5 million to get in the bank.
Yeah. As so, those are forwards we think people should consider selling if they've got them. As for their replacements, goalkeeper will sidestep. That's largely just going to be the same of Dubravka as the cheap one, and also you might consider playing him this week as they're at home to Sunderland or Sanchez sells. But are you are you on the pipeline that 5.5 mil goalkeepers are not worth it this season?
Um, I normally do pay for 5.5 million keeper. And as I said earlier, Raya surprised me that he got stay points last week.
Defenders to bring in.
Out Nori is obviously the thing glaring choice.
Stand out to
No,
replace Frimpong because surprisingly, Ait Nouri, the way City played and how he was set up, he ended up he didn't attack as much, but on the flip side, that meant he got more DEFCON points. Um,
yeah, he was playing left at the back three, wasn't he, most of the game?
yeah, but he got the DEFCON points, so I think it's him. Then this week, if you're looking primarily for this week, you'd be looking at Arsenal centre back to nail the
Uh,
minutes. Fullbacks, too much rotation risks, and also substitutions. Um, and their fixtures aren't great. So I would say, other than Nate and Ori, I'd say you'd possibly be looking at Crystal Palace defenders, possibly. I think Wolves fixtures aren't too bad, but I don't want to. After last week, it's too hard to tell what level they're
Bournemouth's
at.
fixtures are good now. Truffert looked quite impressive against Liverpool.
Oh, the Bournemouth left back,
Uh-huh.
Lopez replacement
Yeah,
looks quite similar into not in terms of physical appearance, but more in terms of playing style and pushing forward.
yeah, he's a very attacking left. He's more or less a left wing back rather than left back. But yes, Saliba's has never let me down over the years on FPL. So I'd go for him over Gabriel.
Mm. Midfielders,
Um, Obviously Reinders. It's hard
yeah.
to ignore at 5.5 million. Gakpo, as you just said, it's looking really good. That's 7.5 million.
Would you consider Saka?
I've already got Saka.
What would you recommend people that don't, and especially after Palmer and actually going a bit back to Palmer, this is a bit more relevant to the last slide, but him playing out on the left, he's a lot less involved than he kept drifting off to the left side, and he's not as involved as when he was playing on the right. So whereas in the Club World Cup, he got a lot more involved because he was playing on the right. But with the youngster they signed, I'm wondering if he's actually worth 10.5 million if he's stuck out on the left.
No, it's definitely not.
Which means this week, would you consider selling in for Saka if you didn't have Saka? That is.
Um, yeah, it's a possible transfer. Obviously, the way I set my team up, I was always going to have both. Um, Palmer's just one of those players who can get massive hauls, where Saka just slow and steady and gets an assist or a goal and ticks along, gets 6 points every week.
Forwards,
So, Woods, obviously, Woods. No, it's got great fixtures coming up. Watkins, again's got good fixtures. And obviously, Haaland's he's doing what he's done the last 2 seasons. It looks like he's going to start brilliantly.
I think though the if you don't have Haaland, yes, he's top to get in, but the problem is getting to him. And I think after one game week, even with Haaland, he's not worth a hit to get to. I think even if you were switching off Salah and onto Haaland, that's two two players that could be um just trying to do a quick brain math. Actually, no, change. Going back to Cole Palmer, if you say did Cole Palmer down to Reinders if you haven't
Finders,
got
yeah.
him, or Anderson of Nottingham Forest, that saves you 5 million, and then upgrade Watkins to Haaland. So you then have what Reinders and Haaland or Anderson and Haaland instead of Palmer and Watkins. But that's
Uh,
for a -4. I don't think that's worth that. I think that would be something to consider after game week 2 when we've got 2 free transfers.
yeah, definitely. I don't think you end up gaining any points doing it this game week.
Yeah, it's too soon, and there's no insufficient data to make transfers this week, in my opinion. Um,
Uh,
unless
Lots
it's
have done that move, have they?
mm,
Being very knee jerky. That's
yeah,
typical FPL behaviour.
yeah, knee jerk in the first 24 hours after Sunday, um, where Reinders went up.
Yeah.
We'll look at our teams in a moment.
So, how can you get in touch? Where can you find us? Our email address is lowercase fplaffairs@gmail.com. On X, our user handle is at FPL Affairs. Facebook, the group link is in our description on the YouTube video channel. And alternatively, you could search the Facebook group for FPL Affairs. We should pop straight up. Our YouTube channel is /at FPL Affairs, and the Spotify links are generally found at the bottom of the video, or on Spotify you could search up FPL Affairs. There may still be time to join our leagues if you haven't already. The classic league code is 12RRCG, or the classic code is lowercase I6NQNB. Unfortunately, the head-to-head league is now closed as the season has started.
Thanks, Weasel, for your help and contributions to predictions and transfer suggestions for game week 2. Join our other video to see what we are thinking of doing with our own teams. All that's left to say is keep your FPL affairs under wraps until this evening's deadline. Bye bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe.